Now on Good Day, there's a federal shakeup in Minnesota while Border Patrol Chief Gregory Ravino is leaving, and who will be taking his place.
And why a Chicago woman who was shot multiple times by a Border Patrol agent now wants evidence in that case released to the public.
And it is the cold that just seemingly will not leave. Mike has a look at just how long these frigid temperatures will be sticking around. Good morning and welcome to the 5 a.m. hour of Good Day Chicago. I'm Brian Jackson.
And I'm Gabriela Primus. Congratulations. We made it to Tuesday.
We did, yes.
At least.
Way to go.
Mike Kaplan, I only say that because it's so dang cold outside that it seems like every day is a win.
And, you know, look, it's amazing what now kind of counts as a warm-up. It's in the teens now. And it's like, you know, it's really not that bad out there.
Single digits, right?
Right,
well, I can't wait for the snow now.
Well, we're going to get a little bit of snow today. Not a lot. A couple snow showers and some flurries, but there is some blowing snow out there. And watch out for that on some roadways, especially in open areas. Cold and windy all day long. Temperatures barely moving from where we are now. Getting the kids to school, it's hats and gloves and the heavy coat again. Multiple layers are going to make them more comfortable. 13 at noon and maybe a flurry even in the afternoon, although I think most of the snow shower potential happens here in the next few hours. It's 13 at Midway and Waukegan, 12 in DeKalb, 14 at Gary, 12 degrees in Merrillville, and those wind chills right now feels like it's below zero pretty much area-wide, 3 below along Chicago's lakefront, -6 at Woodstock, and also 6 below at Valparaiso. Let's see if the blowing snow on the roads causing any problems. Gabriella?
You know, Mike, I'm not really seeing many slowdowns, maybe a little bit over kind of in our northwest side, a little bit of yellow popping up, which indicates stop and go. But let's go over your drive times if you're hitting the road nice and early here at 5 o'clock. 25 minutes on the Kennedy from here to downtown. Under that still on the Eisenhower, just above 20 minutes on the Stevenson from 355 to DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Well under 20 minutes on the Dan Ryan from 95th to the Burn interchange. There is one crash. It's over on an exit ramp in Northwest Indiana. It's I-80-94 going eastbound. It's the exit to Broadway, excuse me, and it might be partially blocking that exit. A little stop and go as you approach that area as well, as people are curious. There is some breaking news overnight. A massive fire breaks out at a home in the Roseland neighborhood. You can see the flames shooting from the top of the home as crews battle the fire in sub-zero conditions. This is along South Forest Avenue near 113th Street. No word yet on any injuries to residents or firefighters or what may have caused this fire. And yes, as we mentioned, we are still in the thick of this deep freeze. And after several days of brutally cold temperatures, commuters, safe to say, are sick of it.
I think all of us are, right?
Yes.
Roseanne is live this morning at Union Station with more. Roseanne?
What are you talking about? We're back in the double digits. We may be up into the teens now, but you're right. It's not much of an improvement. And with the flurries Mike mentioned and the snow on the ground blowing, today is just going to be another very challenging commute for a lot of people. Now, it's especially tough for people who maybe have to walk somewhere. The cold is bitter, forcing everyone to bundle up and try to stay indoors. But for some people, this Arctic weather actually drives business. We talked to a taxi driver who says it is starting to take its toll, though.
It's a little bit stressful, but you manage it. The colder it is, the more busier it is, because it's not everybody that can handle the cold. So, you know, people will, you know, intentionally, the people who will be walking, and if it's too cold, they intend taking a cab or take Uber, whatever their preference is.
Yes, Uber and Lyft drivers we talked to this morning welcome this inclement weather because it really drives more business for them. But for the rest of us, it is dangerously cold out there, so be sure and bundle up before you head out today. Back to you guys in the studio.
Good idea. That's what I meant to say. Yeah, just a couple of degrees warmer, but still it's cold out there. Thanks, Roseanne.
It is. Definitely got to be safe out there. Well, there are some new developments in Minnesota. The Trump administration is now reshuffling its leadership. Border Patrol Commander Gregory Ravino is expected to leave Minnesota as early as today, along with some of the roughly 1,000 Border Patrol agents currently deployed there. Ravino has drawn some widespread criticism for claiming that Alex Preddy had been planning to, quote, massacre law enforcement. In Ravino's place, President Trump is sending border czar Tom Homan to Minnesota.
Well, in response to that, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker is speaking out against President Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, going to Minneapolis. The White House says Homan will be managing ICE operations there. Homan will report directly to the president. He previously worked as acting director of ICE in President Trump's first administration. Governor Pritzker posted on social media yesterday saying, quote, sending Tom home into Minnesota is like pouring gasoline on a fire. The chaos is the point. Let's stop sending Trump's officials in and start sending Trump's agents home.
And the shooting of Alex Preddy in Minneapolis is prompting calls for a thorough, independent investigation. Many of the details, including the identities of the agents involved and what evidence is being examined, all remain unclear. The White House says that 3 federal investigations into the shooting are currently underway. Frustration with DHS leadership is mounting, specifically the claim by some Trump administration officials that Preddy was attacking federal agents when he was shot.
This incident remains under investigation, and nobody here at the White House, including the President of the United States, wants to see Americans hurt or killed and losing their lives.
Thank goodness we had video from constitutional observers who were there so bravely. But I think many Republicans are realizing what we've always known in Minnesota. Donald Trump and Kristi Noem, you've picked the wrong city.
President Trump spoke on the phone with Minnesota Governor Tim Walz yesterday. Governor Walz said that the meeting was productive.
Dozens gathered in Arlington Heights to stand in solidarity with the Minneapolis community and show support for Alex Preddy. Last night's vigil was hosted by the Northwest Suburbs Organizing for Action. People braved the cold in order to have their voices heard.
They are murders. ICE is murdering people. They shot her in cold blood. They shot Alex Preddy in cold blood. He was trying to help someone.
We're at a loss for words. We've never seen anything like this in our country, and it's unspeakable.
Organizers say the best way people can help is by calling their members of Congress and urging them to oppose funding that supports ICE.
The lawyer for a Chicago woman shot by a Border Patrol agent is calling for the evidence to be made public. Miramar Martinez had been accused of ramming the vehicle of a Border Patrol agent back in October. She was shot multiple times. Charges against her have since been dropped. Martinez's lawyer says releasing body camera footage and other forms of evidence will shed more light on the case.
President Trump will travel to Iowa today in an effort to focus on affordability. He'll be speaking just outside of Des Moines. It's part of the White House strategy to have President Trump travel once a week ahead of the midterm elections. The plan is to focus on issues facing everyday Americans.
An investigation is underway after a Metro train hit a snowplow, killing a public works employee. It happened yesterday morning in Bartlett after a Metro train struck his vehicle near the Bartlett station on the MDW line. The plow driver, who has not yet been identified, was 64 years old. No passengers on the train were hurt.
At least 30 people have died from the winter storm that moved across a portion of the country this weekend. Some areas saw at least a foot of snow. In the south, ice brought down trees and power lines under the weight. At the worst of it, more than 1 million customers didn't have power. Utility crews are working around the clock still to restore service, with Tennessee, Louisiana, and Mississippi among the hardest hit.
Bulls have been playing a lot better of late, and they were taking on the Lakers last night.
Yeah, Mike.
Yeah, it was a tough game, tough matchup there. LeBron and Doncic, they were on fire, both in the lineup for the Lakers. And it was a big night for one of them, for Doncic. He scored 14 points in the first quarter. He would go on to finish with 46 points in the game. LeBron added 24. Kobe White led the Bulls in scoring. He had 23, but it wasn't enough. Bulls go on to lose this one big, 129 to 118. Some good news, though, for the Bulls. Modest Buzelis, he will be involved in All-Star Weekend. He's been selected to the 2026 Rising Stars game. That'll be held the day before Valentine's Day. This is Buzelis' second consecutive selection to the event. The Chicago native is just the 9th Bulls player to earn 2 Rising Star selections. Congratulations there. Love that reverse dunk. All right. No four-peat for Windy City Bulls player Mac McClung as dunk champion. Reports indicate he's not going to be competing this year after winning the past 3 competitions. So good. He's currently averaging more than 23 points in 11 games with the Windy City Bulls. That is Chicago's G League affiliate. With the Patriots and Seahawks set to square off in the Super Bowl, we can dream about how the Bears would have stacked up against them. The Bears are going to look to improve upon this season's success. We asked FS1's Danny Parkins, how close are the Bears from playing on the final Sunday?
The biggest thing for the Bears is, how big of a leap does Caleb take? Like, is Caleb still inconsistent, or is he a top 5 quarterback in the NFL? Like, does he take a Patrick Mahomes in year 2, Lamar Jackson, type of leap, year 2 in Ben Johnson's system, year 3 in the league. If he takes a leap like those guys, then you can afford a few fewer takeaways and a few more injuries because you've got an MVP caliber quarterback.
Agreed. Danny Parkins nailed it. All right, let's talk about our weather. We have a little bit of light snow on the way. At almost any time today, there could be a flurry, but there's some actual snow showers that are moving through mainly McHenry County right now, where right now it's 11 at Woodstock, 13 south of there at O'Hare, Midway in the lakefront. Joliet and LaSalle, Peru with 16 appear to be the hot spots. Oh, wait, Benton Harbor, you've got 17 there, 12 at Michigan City and Merrillville, and we do have quite a bit of wind. But you know what? These temperatures warmer than yesterday at this time by double digits in most places. It's a 12-degree bump at O'Hare, 15 degrees warmer at Aurora, which just proves it's not saying much. Here are the current winds gusting almost straight out of the west now at 26 miles an hour at Midway and Kankakee, about the same at Waukegan, Gary, and Valparaiso. It's going to be a blustery day. And these winds are blowing some of that powdery snow back over a lot of roadways, especially in areas that don't have as many buildings. So watch out for maybe some roads that last night looked great. This morning, maybe kind of iffy out there. Wind chills, feels like it's below 0 most areas, 3 below at Midway and also Chicago Heights. Talked about these snow showers. Most of that activity now is northwest of the city, Lake and McHenry County getting in on that. But you see a couple more snow showers and actually some pretty good ones here north of 94 between Madison and Milwaukee. So we'll keep tabs on those as they move south. 15, that's it for the high. And we're 13-ish now. You get the idea. Temperatures are going nowhere. West winds 15 to 25. We'll watch for a couple of flurries today and maybe a morning snow shower. Back to you.
Thank you, Mike.
Coming up, the body of the final Israeli hostage held by Hamas in the Gaza Strip has been recovered.
And Olympic snowboarder charged with drug trafficking. He enters a plea in court.
I'm off an ass.
Now on Good Day Chicago, breaking overnight, a massive fire breaks out at a home in the Roseland neighborhood. This is along South Forest Avenue near 113th Street. No word yet on any injuries to residents or firefighters or what may have caused the fire. The Trump administration is reshuffling its leadership in Minnesota. Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bovino is expected to leave as soon as today along with some of the roughly 1,000 Border Patrol agents currently deployed there. In the Venus Place, President Trump is sending Border Czar Tom Homan to Minnesota.
The lawyer for Chicago women shot by a Border Patrol agent is calling for evidence to be made public. Marimar Martinez had been accused of ramming the vehicle of a Border Patrol agent back in October. She was shot multiple times. Charges against her were dropped. Today is International Holocaust Remembrance Day. It commemorates the 6 million Jewish victims of the Holocaust and millions of others killed by the Nazi regime. January 27th marks the liberation of the Auschwitz concentration camp back in 1945. Today, there are roughly 196,000 living Holocaust survivors.
A former Olympic snowboarder on the FBI's most wanted list made an appearance in federal courts in California. Prosecutors say that Ryan Wedding ran a massive international drug trafficking operation, moving cocaine between Colombia, Mexico, Canada, and Southern California. They said he had help from a cartel and ordered multiple killings. Wedding turned himself in last week at the U.S. Embassy in Mexico. He answered a plea of not guilty.
This week marks 1 year since that deadly crash between an American Airlines flight and a military helicopter near Reagan National in Washington, D.C. Today, the NTSB is holding a meeting to discuss the safety issues that caused the crash that killed 67 people. Board members are expected to vote on the probable cause and make new safety recommendations. Israel has recovered the remains of the last hostage from Gaza. This clears the way for the next phase of the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas to begin. Ranga Vilis, a police officer, was killed during the October 7, 2023 attack by Hamas terrorists, which sparked 2 years of war. His remains were found in a cemetery in northern Gaza. The next phase of the ceasefire involves disarming Hamas, pulling back Israeli soldiers, and rebuilding Gaza.
Well, President Trump is threatening to raise U.S. tariffs on South Korea to 25%. He accuses South Korea's National Assembly of failing to approve a trade agreement that was reached last year. The president says the higher tariffs would apply to products including cars, lumber, and pharmaceuticals as he pressures lawmakers in Seoul to finalize the deal. South Korean officials say that they're continuing talks, but warned that this move could strain trade relations.
5:17 now. Mike, you mentioned that the roads might be slightly dicey now that we're getting a little bit of snowfall later this morning.
Yeah, and also the blowing snow, which would probably impact north-south roads more because it's a due west wind. And obviously, this is going to be more of an issue in open areas where that snow is kind of free to blow around. Temperatures still really cold, and they're not going to move much from what you see now. We've got 16 at Joliet, only 11 degrees at Woodstock, also 11 at Valparaiso. The city, O'Hare, Midway, and the Lakefront all coming in with 13 right now. The temperatures are warmer than they were yesterday as temperatures have climbed just a little bit overnight. All right, the snow that Gabriella was just talking about, the falling snow, is pretty much confined to areas northwest of the city currently and into portions of southeast Wisconsin. That is all sliding to the southeast. So I think if we're going to get an actual snow shower, it would happen this morning. It wouldn't be much, but maybe enough to recoat a roadway. And then there's a chance of a flurry at almost any time today from a mostly cloudy sky. There you see the high, 15 degrees. I mean, a couple of spots are already 15, 16. Point is, temperatures are going nowhere. We have a west wind at 15 to 25, so that wind chill is going to be close to zero all day long, and then below zero tonight. I'll go with 2 for the official low at O'Hare, but a lot of us are going to see sub-zero lows once again with wind chills 10 to 15 below zero. A bunch of 15s on the way. Not much to choose from today, tomorrow, Thursday, even into Friday. But the difference coming up here is the possibility of, and indeed now it looks like the likelihood of lake effect snow, which could start Thursday night, often on Friday and Saturday, and that could lead to some impacts locally. Temperatures getting into the upper 20s on Monday, but a price to pay. More light snow coming in here on Monday. So lake effect snow is going to be a concern here. It's just too early to really tell exactly where that is going to fall. All right, almost 5:20. Let's find out if we have any slowdowns. Gabriella?
Mike, we have one slowdown, and I'll tell you where here in just a moment. 25 minutes right now for your inbound trip on the Kennedy from O'Hare to downtown. And here it is. It's on the Eisenhower. We have a crash reported on the inbound side approaching Laramie. Laramie. Reportedly, that crashed in the left lane and left shoulder, but IDOT is on scene, and that's why you're seeing just a little speck of yellow and red there. That indicates a stop-and-go traffic as you approach that area. 25 minutes, though, still from Route 390 to the old post office. Light traffic volume, obviously. Just over 20 minutes on the Stevenson from 355 to DuSable Lakeshore Drive, and still under 20 minutes on the Dan Ryan from 95th to the Print Interchange.
Well, there's a new effort to curb domestic violence before it starts here in Illinois.
And the American Academy of Pediatrics is going against new federal guidelines when it comes to vaccines for kids. Stay right here. Welcome back, everyone. Taking a live look from our Shed Aquarium camera. Looks calm out there, but we are expecting a little bit of flurries. Be careful on those north-south facing roads. Mike said that there might be a little bit of travel impact with those westward winds coming our way.
All right, time is now 5:23 this morning. A new effort to stop domestic violence before it starts is in the works here in Illinois. It is a hotline designed for people who cause the hurt and want to change their behavior. It will be the first of its kind in the state, and experts say that there's a clear need for this. They noticed when the Survivors Hotline got dozens of calls last year from people harming their loved ones. That is how the Michael Reese Health Trust, based here in Chicago, discovered the demand. The hotline is still in its early stages, but is being developed in partnership with the network, which leads the Illinois Domestic Violence Hotline.
Michael Reese has been engaged in addressing domestic violence for decades, and we realized that the area of working with people who cause harm was underinvested, and there was a lack of innovation in that space. The data shows that last year 200 people who cause harm called the hotline looking for services, and they can be referred to partner abuse programs, but most of those slots are for people who are engaged in the criminal justice system. I think that it's really going to provide a needed intervention where none exists to keep survivors safe.
The hope is that the hotline can go live within the next year.
New vaccine guidelines from the American Academy of Pediatrics differ significantly from the federal government's recommendations. The AAP schedule released yesterday contains just minor adjustments of last year's guidance. By contrast, the CDC is narrowing its recommendations for several diseases. It also calls for a health provider consult for flu, COVID, and rotavirus vaccines. Many states and doctors are relying on the AAP guidelines in light of the government changes. Chicago native Kanye West is issuing an apology for years of anti-Semitic comments and actions. He published an ad titled "To Those I've Hurt" in the Wall Street Journal yesterday. He blames his actions on an untreated bipolar disorder and a brain injury from 2002 car crash, and he says he's continuing to seek treatment. The Anti-Defamation League says Kanye's apology is long overdue, but, quote, doesn't automatically undo his long history of anti-Semitism. The ADL says the truest apology would be for Kanye to not engage in anti-Semitic behavior in the future, adding they wish him well on the road to recovery. Sydney Sweeney could face legal action following a stunt at the iconic Hollywood sign. Video obtained by TMZ shows Sweeney scaling what appears to be the H with a handful of bras. She and her crew strung up the bras, apparently to promote the launch of her new lingerie line. TMZ says the actress got a permit to shoot the Hollywood sign, but did not have permission to touch it.
Things people will do, right?
Okay. You know what? It's definitely gonna get people's attention, I think, especially with a bunch of bras.
Yeah.
I don't know. Mike, you're not going to be doing that anytime soon, are you?
Can you send me the link to this video?
You got it,
can,
man.
Watch it a little bit more closely. Oh, my God. Very interesting story there. We have just a little bit of snow falling, but most of the snow that you're going to see this morning is horizontal because we have gusty winds and it's blowing that snow around. I encountered some roads on my drive in this morning that were like, these were perfect yesterday. They were beautifully plowed, and now they're gunked up with snow again. So watch out for that. There is some falling snow showing up on radar here, mainly across Lake and McHenry County. I'll zoom in here and show you some of that. I mean, this is not a lot, but it's a little bit more than flurries around Wonder Lake, Woodstock, east across the county line towards Round Lake Beach, Lake Villa, Mundelein. Farther to the north, a couple of more robust snow showers here just south of Lake Geneva. That will cross the Cheddar Curtain here in a little bit. And almost any time this morning, you might see a snow shower. And then anytime today, there could be a snow flurry, but nothing is going to be very heavy coming down. Temperature-wise, 15 for the high. Hold on, I'll show you this. 15 is the high. Where are we now? We're about there. So it's not much of a warm-up on the way. It will be windy, too, with wind chills most of the day pretty close to zero. Then the 7-day forecast. Really focusing on this time frame here, Thursday night, Friday, and Saturday. That is when there will be some lake effect. It's just too early to tell who's going to get it. Is that band going to set up and deliver 6 to 12 inches of snow somewhere? Will it be more transitional, meaning you don't get as much snow? But we're going to keep tabs on that, and definitely colder than normal till further notice. Back to you.
Thank you, Mike.
All right, stick around. We got more news, weather, and traffic to come this Tuesday morning.
You know, I was thinking
Helium Malanin showing beautiful control.
Now in Good Day Chicago, there's a federal shakeup in Minnesota. Why Border Patrol Chief Greg Rubino is leaving and who will be taking his place.
Why a Chicago woman who was shot multiple times by a Border Patrol agent now wants the evidence in the case to be released to the public.
And there's an investigation after a Metro train slammed into a snowplow in Bartlett. Mike.
Gusty winds leading to a few areas of blowing snow, and there are a couple of snow showers we'll point out on radar. But could lake effects be a problem later this week? I'll show you the forecast. But right now, let's see how those travel times are shaping up, Gabriella.
Mike, travel times are looking okay despite that one crash over on the inbound side of the Eisenhower. It's approaching Laramie. It's still blocking a left lane, the left shoulder. IDOT crews are on scene. That's, again, why you're seeing that little bit of traffic there on the Eisenhower. 25 minutes still, though, from Route 390 to the old post office. Same on the Kennedy. Just above 20 minutes on the Stevenson and under 20 minutes on the Dan Ryan from 95th to the Byrne interchange. Let's talk about this breaking news overnight. A massive fire breaks out at a home in the Roseland neighborhood. You can see the flames shooting from the top of that house as crews battle the fire in sub-zero conditions. This along South Forest Avenue. No word yet on any injuries to residents or firefighters or what may have caused this fire.
Well, we're in the midst of a deep freeze, and after several days of just these brutally cold temperatures, commuters are just sick of it.
No kidding. Yeah, Roseanne is live at Union Station. At least she's staying warm, and some of these other commuters. But what are they saying to you, Roseanne?
You know, it is wearing people out. I will tell you, we are inside Union Station, where a lot of Metro riders would tell you the train is the way to go, a nice, warm train. But we may be like all the way up into the teens today, but it really isn't providing a whole lot of relief, and it is becoming challenging. With possible flurries and the snow that's already on the ground that's going to be blowing, it's just going to be another difficult morning commute. The roads can ice up quickly, making driving treacherous. And for people who have to walk, the cold is bitter and dangerous, with wind chills making it feel much colder than those double-digit temps if you're not thoroughly bundled up. Many are choosing to work from home, which is great if you can do it, but for some, like rideshare driver Kyle Hart, this Arctic weather actually drives business.
Not bad. I mean, it's part of my job as a Lyft driver, so.
Does it actually mean more business?
It does mean more business. If it snows, it means more rides, more demand.
What about just the cold? Does that?
Usually if it's like super cold, people don't want to drive, so more business again, so can't complain.
Yeah.
I guess bad weather is like what I earn for.
That's right. This is actually good for business and a busy time for him. But personally, the drivers we talked to this morning say they are pretty sick of it. It's taking its toll because we have had a long stretch now of cold weather. So again, double digits are good news, but not really accomplishing much. We're hoping it warms up far more than that in the near future. Back to you guys in the studio.
Yeah, especially when the roads are so unpredictable for some of these drivers. They don't know what they're going to expect, different neighborhoods, different parts of the city. Thank you, Roseanne, for catching up with those Metro commuters.
All right, time is now 5:34 this morning. We got some new developments in Minnesota, where the Trump administration is now reshuffling its leadership. Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bravino is expected to leave the state as soon as today, along with some of the roughly 1,000 Border Patrol agents deployed there. Bravino drew widespread criticism for claiming that Alex Preddy had been planning to, quote, massacre law enforcement. In Bravino's place, President Trump is sending border czar Tom Homan to Minnesota.
And in response, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker is speaking out against President Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, going to Minneapolis. The White House says Homan will be managing ICE operations there. Homan will report directly to the president. He previously worked as acting director of ICE in President Trump's first administration. Governor Pritzker posted on social media yesterday saying, quote, sending Tom Homan to Minnesota is like pouring gasoline on a fire. The chaos is the point. Let's stop sending Trump officials in and start sending Trump's agents home. Dozens gathered in Arlington Heights to stand in solidarity with the Minneapolis community and show support for Alex Preddy, the man shot and killed by federal agents. Last night's vigil was hosted by the Northwest Suburbs Organizing for Action. People braved the cold in order to have their voices heard.
They are murders. ICE is murdering people. They shot her in cold blood. They shot Alex Preddy in cold blood. He was trying to help someone.
We're at a loss for words. We've never seen anything like this in our country, and it's unspeakable.
Organizers say the best way people can help is by calling their members of Congress and urging them to oppose funding that supports ICE.
The lawyer for a Chicago woman shot by a Border Patrol agent is calling for the evidence in that case to be made public. Miramar Martinez had been accused of ramming the vehicle of a Border Patrol agent back in October. She was shot multiple times. Charges against her were dropped. Her lawyer says that releasing the body camera footage and other forms of evidence will shed more light on the case. An investigation is underway after a Metro train hit a snowplow, killing a public works employee. This all happened yesterday morning in Bartlett after a Metro train struck his vehicle near the Bartlett station on the MDW line. The plow driver, who has not yet been identified, was 64 years old. No passengers on the train were hurt.
5:36 now. Mike Kaplan entering the room, giving us the latest on the weather conditions. Mike, I know that some things might be changing for people around Chicagoland.
Yeah, you know, it's going to be not as cold as it was yesterday. It's just not going to be much improvement at all. And a couple of snow showers are possible. But you got to watch out for the blowing snow this morning because we do have those gusty winds. Kids going to school, they need the whole deal again. Heavy coats, the hat, the gloves. Watch out for that blowing snow. That's what this graphic is showing here. Cold and windy, temperatures roughly 12 at 7 o'clock. A few spots a couple of degrees warmer. Then we're going to stay in the low teens all day long. 13 at noon, 14 for that ride home, and there could be a flurry at almost any time today. Not expecting any heavy snow. These are the current temperatures. We've got 12 at Merrillville and Aurora, 15 in Morris, 12 at Woodstock, 13 at Waukegan, Chicago's lakefront, Benton Harbor, 18 degrees. You could see some lake effect snow later today that could accumulate in parts of Berrien County. We were below zero in a lot of spots or close to it. Throw in the wind, which in many locations gusting to 20 plus, including Valparaiso, Gary, Midway, O'Hare, Waukegan, and Morris. That's producing a biting wind chill out there. I mean, we're not looking at cold weather advisory level numbers, but it's still mighty cold out there. Wind chills below zero pretty much area wide. Talked about the snow that is falling. Most of it now is northwest of the city. Is showing up on radar, parts of Lake McHenry, maybe northern Kane County, and also southeast Wisconsin. These scattered snow showers will cross the area over the next few hours. And then later today, there could be a flurry. Mostly cloudy skies. Some of us get a peak of sunshine, but temperatures are barely moving. 15. We'll have those wind chills pretty close to zero all day. Dropping to 2 tonight with a few of the usual cold spots getting below zero. Partly cloudy skies. Wind chills around 15 below. Lake effect snow plays heavily into my 7-day forecast, which is coming up.
The immigration crackdown in Minnesota may be easing up.
After weeks of protests and violent encounters, a number of federal agents are expected to leave the state. Doug Luzader is live in Washington this morning. Good morning, Doug. I guess our first question to you is, President Trump spoke with leaders in Minnesota, but it sounds like he wants more cooperation if he pulls back on immigration enforcement.
Well, we're going to see some federal agents leaving Minnesota. Not all of them. The effort to enforce immigration laws will continue there, but it does sound like it's going to be scaled back. And taking over this effort will be a new individual brought in to kind of change the tone and the way they do these things, and that's Border Czar Tom Homan. So we'll see what they do here. You know, underscoring all of this is this tension between the federal government and sanctuary cities and localities and states, and whether there's going to be more cooperation in turning over illegal immigrants who are also accused of other crimes. And it's not clear that Minnesota or its, local counties, local cities are, will be willing to go that far.
And Doug, in the midst of everything happening in Minnesota, a government shutdown looms at the end of the week. What are Democrats currently demanding?
Well, we do have this potential for a shutdown. I mean, this comes Friday night. We were on a pretty good glide path to avoid this, and then all of a sudden we had the additional shooting there in Minneapolis, and now you have questions about whether the Homeland Security bill, a big portion of this these spending bills, will be fought. And if that's the case, it's looking more and more likely we're going to see a government shutdown come Friday night.
Doug, I know kind of another topic for you. President Trump not heading to Minnesota, but heading to Iowa today. What does he plan to talk about there?
The economy. I mean, we'll probably also hear some talk about what's going on in Minnesota, but the White House has made it clear the president's going to do more of this domestic travel, probably at least once a week between now and the midterms.
All right, Doug Luzader, live from Washington, D.C. Thank you so much for your time, as always.
Thank you.
All right, time is now 5:43 this morning. Stick around. We got more news, weather, and traffic still to come this morning.
Fox 32 News is brought to you by
Now on Good Day Chicago, breaking overnight, a massive fire breaks out at a home in the Roseland neighborhood. This is along South Forest Avenue. No word yet on any injuries to residents or firefighters or what may have caused the fire.
The Trump administration is reshuffling its leadership in Minnesota. Border Patrol Commander Greg Bovino is expected to leave as soon as today, along with some of the roughly 1,000 Border Patrol agents deployed there. In Bovino's place, President Trump is sending Border Czar Tom Homan to Minnesota.
The lawyer for a Chicago woman shot by a Border Patrol agent is calling for the evidence to be made public. Irma Martinez had been accused of ramming the vehicle of a Border Patrol agent back in October. She was shot multiple times and charges against her were dropped.
Today is International Holocaust Remembrance Day. It commemorates the 6 million Jewish victims of the Holocaust and millions of others killed by the Nazi regime. January 27th marks the liberation of the Auschwitz concentration camp back in 1945. Today, there are roughly 196,000 living Holocaust survivors.
A former Olympic snowboarder on the FBI's most wanted list made an appearance in federal courts in California. Prosecutors say that Ryan Wedding ran a massive international drug trafficking operation, moving cocaine between Colombia, Mexico, Canada, and Southern California. They say that he did receive help from a cartel and ordered multiple killings. Wedding turned himself in last week at the U.S. Embassy in Mexico. He entered a not guilty plea.
This week marks 1 year since a deadly crash between an American Airlines flight and a military helicopter near Reagan National in Washington, D.C. Today, the NTSB is holding a meeting to discuss the safety issue that caused the crash that killed 67 people. Board members are expected to vote on the probable cause and make new safety recommendations.
A new effort to stop domestic violence before it starts is in the works here in Illinois. There's a hotline designed for the people who caused the hurt and are looking to change their behavior. This will be the first of its kind in the state, and experts say that the need here is very clear. You notice when the Survivors Hotline got dozens of calls last year from people who are harming their loved ones. That is how the Michael Reese Health Trust, based in Chicago, discovered the demand. The hotline is still in its early stages, but is being developed in partnership with the network, which leads the Illinois Domestic Violence Hotline.
Michael Reese has been engaged in addressing domestic violence for decades, and we realized that the area of working with people who cause harm was underinvested, and there was a lack of innovation in that space. The data shows that last year 200 people who cause harm called the hotline looking for services, and they can be referred to partner abuse programs, but most of those slots are for people who are engaged in the criminal justice system. I think that it's really going to provide a needed intervention where none exists to keep survivors safe.
The hope is that the hotline can go live within the next year.
New vaccine guidelines from the American Academy of Pediatrics differ significantly from the federal government's recommendations. The AAP schedule released yesterday contains just minor adjustments of last year's guidance. By contrast, the CDC is narrowing its recommendations for several diseases. It also calls for a health provider consult for flu, COVID, and rotavirus vaccines. Many states and doctors are relying on the AAP guidelines in light of the government changes.
Social media companies are facing a potential landmark trial over claims that their platforms are addictive to teens. Jury selection is set to begin today at California Superior Court. The case is against Meta platforms, TikTok and YouTube. The companies face accusations from a 19-year-old plaintiff claiming that the sites are attention-grabbing by design, which leads to heightening depression and thoughts of suicide.
European Union regulators have launched a formal investigation into the AI chatbot Grok after it started creating non-consensual sexualized deepfake images of women and children. Grok is primarily used on Elon Musk's social media platform, X. So far, other governments have banned the bot or issued warnings against it.
Be very clear, child sexual abuse material is not a premium privilege. Because such output has no place in Europe, and we need to protect our citizens from potential future harms. This is why this investigation into Grok will allow us to look deeper into the matter to protect our women, our children, and our citizens.
A spokesperson for X says the company remains committed to safety and has zero tolerance for child sexual exploitation and non-consensual nudity.
It is the end of an era for Southwest Airlines. Assigned seating begins today. That ends the airline's 50-year open seating policy. So when you book your next flight, you'll be able to decide exactly where you want to sit. There will be different pricing options, including extra leg room, preferred and standard seating. If you choose Southwest's basic ticket option, you'll be assigned a seat at check-in and will board the plane last.
Chicago native Kanye West is issuing an apology for years of anti-Semitic comments and actions. He published an ad titled "To Those I've Hurt" in the Wall Street Journal yesterday. He blames his actions on an untreated bipolar disorder and a brain injury from a 2002 car crash and says he is continuing to seek treatment. The Anti-Defamation League says Kanye's apology is long overdue, but, quote, doesn't automatically undo his long history of anti-Semitism. The ADL says the truest apology would be for Kanye to not engage in anti-Semitic behavior in the future, adding they wish him well on the road to recovery. All right, to the important news, the Bulls legend Derrick Rose's #1 jersey is now hanging in the rafters. The team mascot Benny the Bull, though, has a major announcement regarding his jersey number, which is also #1.
Benny, there's been a lot of speculation. Can you address the rumors about a potential number change?
What does that mean? As you saw at that press conference, Benny's changing his number. Now, Rose had his #1 jersey retired this past Saturday, meaning no one else will ever wear that number for the Bulls, including Benny. So Benny and his team, they've been hard at work trying to figure out a new number for him to wear. So Benny debuted his new jersey number at last night's game against the Lakers. Bulls posted this to their social media accounts. From now on, Benny will be wearing the number 99 jersey. It's a good look on him.
I like both looks on him. Like we said, Mike, that red, nice sports jacket.
That's spectacular.
He's wearing.
That's good.
Yeah. Now we can know he can do all looks. Benny.
He wears everything so well, you know. I wish he would. That 99 would have brought the Bulls a little more luck last night. Lakers kind of owned them, especially Doncic. All right, we have a little bit of snow falling. We have some snow that's blowing across roadways, and we still have a truckload of cold to deal with through the rest of the month and even into very early February at the least. A little bit of light snow, not all of this reaching the ground, but it could be a brief snow shower. There are some snow showers in southern Wisconsin also. So I think the morning hours, if there's going to be an actual snow shower, that's when it would happen. However, there could be a flurry at almost any time today coming out of this really cold air mass. Yeah, believe it or not, overnight we warmed up a little bit. Now we're behind a cold front. Winds are going to be west, and temperatures are essentially going nowhere. We're going to be stuck in the low to mid-teens throughout the day. There will be some sunshine breaking out, though, but I'm still going to call today a mostly cloudy and kind of blustery day. There will be some lake effect snow targeting parts of Michigan overnight into tomorrow, but most of tomorrow is going to be a dry day. And guess what? Another unseasonably cold one, with temperatures staying about 15 degrees below seasonal normals. There you see some of that lake effect still hitting parts of Michigan even on Thursday. But that lake effect is going to be an issue anywhere along the lake, including on the Illinois side, Thursday night, Friday, and Saturday. Obviously not, for 70 hours in a row, but it's going to be a long-lasting event that needs to be monitored because this could be an impactful lake effect snow, just as Sunday's was. 15 today, maybe a brief snow shower this morning. It's going to be windy all day long. West winds 15 to 25. Maybe the wind chill gets up to 0. 2 tonight, and we'll see those wind chills back down around 15 below under a partly cloudy sky. So here's the 7-day. Not much to choose from temperature-wise for the next several days. There's a chance for some snow coming in Thursday night, Friday, and Saturday off the lake, even as temperatures moderate ever so slightly. Could be upper 20s here next Monday, but there would likely be some more light snow coming in here. Winter lives on. How about some pictures? Maybe this will cheer you up a little bit. Lisa Redmond giving us a look at the Chicago River. Look at all that ice that is formed out there. That's a cool shot. I love the reflection there, beaming down onto the lake as well. That's a pretty shot there, Lisa. Thank you for that one. Next up, we have this spectacular shot from Pete Kapp. This is a fishing vessel, the Clifford J, docked at Waukegan Harbor, coming up there at sunrise. Is that boat able to move, or is it ice jammed there? But that is a magnificent shot. I like your editing there as well, Pete. As always, you've got good stuff coming in. And our third picture from our good friend Shah Quayum. Went to high school with him. Shah, always appreciate your positive comments and your contributions here. He shows us an evening in Mundelein, and there you see that 22-degree solar halo that we've seen many, many times over the past week or so due to ice crystals in the sky. All right, we are at 5:57, and there's one more picture. Almost forgot this one. George Tamalunas in Valparaiso. That is a red-bellied woodpecker. I know a lot of you are looking at that saying, it looks like a red-headed woodpecker. It does have a red, top of the head and nape of the neck, but this is actually called a red-bellied woodpecker. I believe that's Melanerpes carolinus, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody more knowledgeable about birds can correct my Latin. All right, now we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more Good Day after this.
Hi.